Before your mind find excuses, your body already told you the truth about that man. I mean, your stomach flips, your chest gets tight, your spirit sank. Your body already spoke to you about that man. The body will speak first. The question is, are you listening? If you're new here, welcome to Heal the New Sexy, where we discuss all things healing, self-love, relationships. My name is Cynthia. I am a licensed therapist and coach, and I want to talk about what your body is telling you about that man. And I want to talk about the neuroscience behind it, okay? So if you've ever dated a man and you're trying to figure out what is going on here, I feel some type of way, my body is telling me something about him. We're going to discuss that today, all right? So today we're talking about what most women have never been taught. Your body tells you the truth about your partner long before your brain does. There's a few parts of your brain that play a role in trauma. I want to talk about real briefly, education real quick, about your frontal lobe, right here, your frontal lobe, and your amygdala. Your amygdala is your internal alarm system. That is where your fight, flight, or freeze lies. So quite often when we are experiencing a person, we are experiencing them through the lens of our amygdala, not through our frontal lobe, okay? So quite often your internal alarm has already made a judgment about a person, and that's why you may feel some type of way. That's why you may meet somebody and say, it's something about them I don't like, or I don't trust them, because that part of your brain, they have set that part of your brain off, okay? And depending on your past trauma, your brain can either warn you or mislead you, because your brain can't tell the truth or can't tell the difference between an actual threat and a perceived threat. That's why similar situations may trigger you. That's why when people talk about manifestation, they tell you to say these things to your mind, because your brain can't tell the difference between what's happening now, right, and what you're saying. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So let's break it down. Your nervous system is always scanning for safety. Before you even decide how you feel about someone, your nervous system has already made a decision. That's why you can meet certain people and you can feel like they feel very safe and that they're trusting and they're understanding. And if you feel that way about me, you need to schedule a coaching call so we can work together, okay? The system has one job, and that is to keep you safe. Many women, we don't trust our intuition. We don't trust the thing on the inside of us. Some may call it Holy Spirit, that is telling us what's happening in our body, or telling us about other people, okay? Because somewhere we have learned to distrust ourselves. But hopefully after this, you'll be able to trust your inner knowing, your inner alarm system, okay? So the system's job is to keep you alive, not to keep you in love. And many of us override the system because we want to stay in love and we want to have a partner. Your body is scanning for the tone of voice. Is he calm or is he reactive? Consistency, does he show up or does he disappear? And if you struggle with abandonment, consistency is a very big deal for you. And so when a man is not consistent, it triggers you all over. It makes you feel as if you're being abandoned all over again, okay? Predictability. Can I relax around this man, or do I have to stay alert? Do I have to stay on guard? All right. And then energy. Does his presence soothe me, or does he make me feel tense? Do I feel anxious? This isn't overreacting. This is neuroception. Your body subconsciously detecting danger or safety. So before you even made a decision about him, before you even decided to be exclusive with him, your body had made a decision whether this man was safe or not. Your nervous system responds before your logic does, because that is two different parts of the brain. Frontal cortex, frontal lobe, and the amygdala, two different parts of the brain. So your amygdala is looking for signs of danger and it's scanning. Your frontal lobe is where we make rational decisions. So these two areas can be in conflict. You ever heard somebody say, I should have went with my first mind? That's usually the other part of your brain that senses danger, okay? So signs your body is telling you that this man is not safe. You don't need a toxic behavior checklist. I know you've probably watched many of my videos, but you don't need that. You need to trust your body. Your body has been keeping score, like the book says, okay? So when you're around him, I want you to slow down, to pay attention to how you feel around him. Do you feel like you're about to have a panic attack, like your chest is getting tight, or you notice that you're breathing shallow, okay? Your body is preparing for hurt, disappointment, or conflict. Do you have anxiety around him? Not butterflies, not excitement. That can be a stress response. Have you ever been around someone and noticed how calming they feel to you? It's almost if they feel like they're a balm to your soul, but around other people, they feel very chaotic. You are more sensitive, especially if you're empathetic, what some people may call an empath. You are very sensitive around people, and not just their moods, but who they are. And you pick up on things and then you feel it in your body. But you got to pay attention to what you're feeling. I remember most recently, I'm a very sensitive person. Okay. I pick up on things without people saying anything. And I remember being somewhere, and there was a man there, and he wasn't saying anything to me. He wasn't talking to me, but I could tell that this was a very violent man. I could tell that he had anger issues. And I was looking in my surrounding, and I had noticed that other people weren't really picking that up, right? But for me, he was setting off alarms in me, and I was like, okay, let me move around, because this man is very aggressive. And I know, and I could tell that he was violent with women. I could tell. So you may be like me, like you can be around people and you feel it in your body. Okay. Overthinking or rumination after conversations. Your mind is trying to find safety because he doesn't create it. I think a man who really cares about you is going to be intentional about creating safety with his words, with his actions. You're not going to have to guess what he means. You know, of course, sometimes you ask for clarification, but he does his very best to keep you safe. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, in all those areas, he tries to keep you safe. Feeling drained instead of energized after spending time with him. Remember being younger, because we young over here. I don't care if you're 75, we young over here, right? And you saw your crush, your high school crush, and it just energized you. Like, oh my gosh, I love him. He's so cute. Oh my gosh, did you see him? Bobby, did you see him? Oh my gosh. You talking to your girlfriends on the phone. Would you ever been around someone or a man you just feel drained, you feel depleted? That's your body telling you, that man's a leech. He gonna take from you, sis, okay? Feeling like you can't fully relax around him. If you're always on performing, pleasing, or managing his emotions, your body is telling you that this is not a safe space. Your relationship, your romantic relationship, should be the number one safest place, okay? Outside of your relationship with God, because that's the most intimate relationship. Your romantic relationship is the second most intimate relationship. Those relationships must be safe, must be. And for many women, you don't have safe relationships and you haven't experienced it. And that's so important, okay? So let's talk about the plot twist. Sometimes it's not him, it's your trauma. This is the important part. If you grew up around chaos, like I did, if you dated inconsistent or emotionally unavailable men, if you had to live in survival mode, the healthy love that you might feel may be uncomfortable. I remember quite recently, Brené Brown was on a podcast, and she talked about like her first 6 months, of her marriage were very uncomfortable. And the therapist said to her, it must be uncomfortable for a man to love you more than you love yourself. And she said, who you talking to? You know what I'm saying? She's a social worker. I love it. But sometimes when you haven't experienced healthy love and you encounter healthy love, you got to be careful not to push it away because it feels foreign. It does. When a man comes in and he's loving you in such a way that you've never experienced before, it feels foreign. It's scary because it's unknown. But let's talk about these things. Your nervous system may confuse calm with boredom, consistency with disinterest, emotional availability with neediness, slowness with lack of chemistry, slow burn relationships, and anxious attached girlies. It's funny to watch, right? If you are an anxious attached girly, you want to move quickly into the space where the two of you are exclusive. Why? Because that validates, that affirms you, and it eases that nervous system. It shuts it down. Okay. Sometimes you don't even realize that in your dating, you may be triggered. So when he's not talking about marriage, or he's not talking about a relationship, he's not moving in the way that you want him to in order to satisfy you, It triggers you. Okay. Your body isn't lying. It's just responding from an old blueprint that believes love equals anxiety, intensity, or unpredictability. I remember telling you guys, I forget what video it is, that I used to love me. I still do. I still do. I still do. I don't mess with it though. A hyper masculine man. Now, I grew up in the military. Both of my parents are combat veterans. And my father was in the infantry. Okay. So I grew up with men that were like real life superheroes. I remember my next door neighbor growing up. I can't remember his name, but I can see his face. He was in the special forces. And so I lived in Tennessee. I lived in Tennessee at this time, in Clarksville, Tennessee, where Fort Campbell is. And on my left side was the man in special forces. And he worked out and everything. And then on my right side, he was in the Army too, of course, at Fort Campbell, but he built motorcycles, right? So like, and my father is like 6 foot. He was very, he was well, I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? So I grew up with men, you know, who fixed cars, who cut grass, who my father would cut our grass. And then when the neighbor's boyfriend, because he was her boyfriend, was gone, he would go over there and he would cut her grass, right? You know, like I remember my mom cut her hand and the man in the special forces stitched her finger up. Like there was nothing. Okay, there was nothing that these men couldn't do, right? So those are the type of men I grew up. There was nothing you could ask them to do that they couldn't do. Build it, blow it up, whatever, they could do it. And so I remember, my father was abusive though. He was physically and verbally abusive. But I remember realizing the men that I were dating were like my father, but these were extremely handsome, beautiful men, you know? And so I was attracted to hyper masculine men, but I was having these toxic relationships, but they felt like I was used to the intensity, and we're fighting and we're yelling and then we make it up. You know what I'm saying? Okay. You know, and after a while, the cycle becomes tiring because it's unhealthy. It's toxic, right? So sometimes you have to look at your foundation, because your foundation can be setting you up for failure in a healthy relationship. So here's a few examples as relates to he's being healthy, but you being toxic. He texts you every day. Your old wound whispers, he's too clingy, because you're used to men being inconsistent. You're used to men not showing you consistent attention, not being attentive. He respects your boundaries. Your trauma says he must not really want me. Because you're used to, let's say if it relates to sex, he initiates sex, you say no, he doesn't press it. But you're used to men pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And so now you're like, okay, maybe he doesn't like me. Maybe he really doesn't want me. Maybe he really doesn't desire me. Because I've never had a man, like, after I told him no, really take my no for no. Okay? He communicates clearly. Your nervous system panics. Something's off. This feels too easy. Sometimes we are not used to relationships that have ease, okay? Sometimes your body is warning you. Sometimes your trauma is misinterpreting safety as danger. The key is learning how to tell the difference, and I'm going to teach you that. So here's how you can do that. Does his behavior match his words consistently? I love a man who's consistent with his words, and I love a man more whose behavior matches his words. Because there's many men who can, what do they say? Talk the talk, but they can't walk the walk, okay? So if his words don't match his actions, then it's not you, it's him. If his words matches his actions, then it's you, okay? So you may be reacting from a wounded place. Now, I'm going to tell you this. So I am a hyper independent girly in recovery. Having cancer has taught me how to lean and depend on others. For the longest, I was not one to ask for help. I would just figure it out. Like, and even today, my light bulb went out on my car, and I told him I was over my grandparents' house, and I told him, and they was like, you need to call such and such so you can put that light bulb in. And I was like, I could do it myself. I could do it myself, right? Because when you're not used to people showing up for you, it's hard for you to ask. It's hard for you to ask because you feel like, or you're bracing yourself for them to disappoint you. Okay, but he gonna change that light bulb on Monday. All right. Do you feel tense around him or tense about love in general? If it's him, your body tenses only when interacting with him. If it's the trauma, you tense with any healthy man. So you got to tell the difference. And you also have to be honest. Sometimes you fear love. You want it, but you fear it. You fear it because you've never experienced a healthy love, a kind love, an attentive love, a gentle love. A love that soothes, a love that covers, a love that corrects, but it corrects gently. You've never experienced that. And so when you're around him or any man, you may find your body responding because you may fear men because they hurt you in the past. So there's some work that has to be done there, okay? All right, is your nervous system calming down over time? Healthy relationships regulate you. Unhealthy relationships dysregulate you more and more. That's why you could do the healing work. Oh, I always tell clients, whether they're counseling or coaching, when you start dating, you're going to need to come see me again. After you do all your healing work, you don't know if you're really healed until you get back out there and start dating. That's how you know if you're really healed. That man may still trigger you, but it's about how you respond to the trigger. Okay. Let's say, for instance, he usually calls you at a certain time in the morning. This day he doesn't call you. So now you're like, why is it he calling me? Why is it he texting me? Why is it he doing this? Right. And the truth could be something happened, but you're triggered. You're on 1000. Okay. And he calls you. He's like, hey, baby, I got a flat tire. This happened. And it soothes you. You're able to calm. But there could be another man and he's just inconsistent. And you just see yourself. It's like there's a word that we would use, and I can't think of that word. Decompens. I don't want to say it like that. Right. But you just find yourself unraveling. I'm going to use that word. You find yourself unraveling because you're in this relationship. He's triggering you and you're not able to recover. That's the difference. Okay. So you could be in a healthy relationship. The person can still trigger you, but it's about how you repair. And it's about also you being able to regulate yourself because he's healthy. It's not intentional. He's not meaning to trigger me versus being in an unhealthy relationship with a man who's not caring. Okay. And then also, do you find yourself self-abandoning? If you shrink to maintain the relationship, your body is begging you to leave. It's just like when you're a kid and maybe you grew up in a home and the person was physically abusive. If you find yourself shrinking in your relationship, your body is telling you he is not healthy for you. He is not healthy. And it may not be physically, okay? It could be, and I gave this example in my video that I did about wife services. It could be something like, let's say you get up every day and you do your makeup, but now you don't do it anymore because he said that he doesn't like it when you have makeup on and it gets you too much attention. So in order to please him, you stop wearing your makeup. Or you have a bubbly personality and people are just drawn to you, but he doesn't like that. So you try to pull back your personality. So you're abandoning yourself and who you are and showing up differently in order for this relationship. Okay. So what to do when your body is confused? First, slow down the relationship. Take your time. I know there's a lot of timelines online, right? 3 months. And then he needs to decide, y'all need to decide if you're going to be exclusive, 6 months, this, and that. But when you are a girly who has gone through some things in your childhood or just in life in general, because you may have had a super great childhood but experienced trauma later on, it's okay to take your time as long as it's intentional. We ain't letting no man play with our life and waste our time. Okay? So there's nothing wrong with that. So slow the relationship down. Okay? Speed creates an illusion that things are well. Sometimes things move so fast that you aren't able to clearly gather the information that you need in order to make a healthy decision for you. Slowing down creates accuracy. It gives you time to really see him, to ask intentional questions, to listen to his answers, to evaluate his answers. It gives you time. So take your time. Take your time. What's the rush? Okay. Listen to your body without judgment. Your body is not dramatic. Your body is responding to data. Okay. Your body is telling you how you feel about him, how he makes you feel. Does he make you feel safe? Does he make you feel anxious? Do you feel fear around him? Like, let's say, for instance, you grew up in an environment where maybe you were yelled at a lot and he raises his voice. Now, let's say he's raising his voice at the football game, but he's never raised his voice at you. That's very different. But let's say he constantly raises his voice at you. That man is not safe for you. Okay. Now, your body may respond the same to him raising his voice at the football game as if he was raising his voice at you. And again, that has to do with your brain and its connection to trauma in the past, not that he's unsafe. Okay. Hope that makes sense. Practice regulating your nervous system, deep breathing, grounding techniques, journaling after dating. Every time you go on a date with that man, journal. Write down how you feel. Write down how you feel in your body. Write down what was said. Write down what stood out to you. And then go back and read it. Write it down, close it, and then take some time, go back and read it. This is how you are able to kind of assess if a man is love bombing you. Because you are reading what you wrote down. You're reading how it made your body feel. If your body is in conflict with what he said, then he's probably love bombing you, and he's probably doing a lot, and that may be what's triggering you. Okay. Talking through triggers with a therapist or with a coach. Okay. That's why I always tell my clients, listen, when you start dating, you may have to come back. Okay. Recheck the facts. Is he actually unsafe, or does safety just feel foreign to you? I know some of you have at least, I don't want to say just in childhood, you have not really experienced true safety with another person. And it makes you feel uncomfortable. So you have your guard up. You feel like everyone is unsafe. You feel like there's nobody that can be trusted. You're hypervigilant. You're always alert. You feel like I got to protect me. I got to keep me because nobody else is going to. Nobody else is going to look out for me. Nobody else has my best interest at heart. So I got to keep a lookout for me. Okay. And stop overriding your intuition. Overthinking is usually you arguing with your body with what it's already told you. Now, if your body said, I don't want to sing no R. Kelly because he has some bangers though. But he said, my mind is telling me no. Y'all know the rest. But my body is telling me yes. Okay? Stop overthinking. If your intuition is saying no, go with it. Sometimes as women, we're waiting for proof. Don't feel like you need proof. Just move out the way. Okay? I want you to remember that your body remembers what your mind tries to forget. Your body keeps the score, like the book says. It keeps the warnings and it keeps the receipts. But your body can heal. It can learn new patterns. It can learn the difference between real danger and old wounds. And that's what's so important when you're dating, that you know the difference between this is truly danger or this is me responding to some hurt that I experienced before. Okay? And when you're truly intentional, when a man is truly intentional, right? I want you to be able to experience the greatest love that you've ever experienced before and to be present and not focus on old wounds. Do not let your past sabotage your present and your future. And if you need help with that, schedule a coaching call. The link is in the description. My name is Samithia, and this is Heal the New Sexy.